Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that her terrible attitude was the reason her brother doesn't speak to her anymore? First off, this is a throwaway account because I do not want my wife to find out that I posted this. This situation goes all the way back to last Christmas, when my wife, 29F, and I, 29M, first met my brother-in-law's, 28M, girlfriend, 23F. For some background, my wife has 5 siblings, and out of all of them she has always been the closest to P. He would come over to our house at least twice a week. He has a spare set of keys to our place in case of an emergency, and we also had an emergency key to his apartment. Everything was fine until last October when we noticed that P stopped coming over. At first, I did not think much of it, but then my wife mentioned that he hardly even replied to her texts. That was concerning because P has a history of depression and sometimes withdraws from everyone when he hits a dark place. One night, after my wife had called him 4 times and only reached his voicemail, and after my in-laws confirmed that they had not heard back from him either, we became worried. Out of concern, we drove to his apartment and used the emergency key. Usually when P gets like this, his apartment is a mess. However, to our surprise, when we walked inside, his place was spotless and smelled like a Bath and Body Works store. When my wife realized that he was not home, she took the opportunity to snoop. That was when she found silk sheets, high-end women's clothing, skincare products, new appliances, and meal prep containers in the fridge. She quickly realized that P had a girlfriend. As soon as we got home, my wife sent him a message telling him that we had stopped by, and she asked why he had not told us he was seeing someone. Eventually, P called back and apologized for being distant. He explained to my wife that he had been dating this girl, S, for a while. The reason he had not told us was because my wife can often be too pushy, and he did not want her to be upset that he was dating someone she had not introduced him to. My wife has tried to set him up with her friends several times in the past. He also told us not to worry if he did not stop by as much anymore and that he would introduce us to her when he felt ready. After that, we hardly heard from him until December when he told us that he would be bringing his girlfriend S to meet the family the day after Christmas. Honestly, I was happy for him. Yes, I missed hanging out with him, but I was glad that he was living his own life. My wife, however, was furious. She said that S was probably the one making P distance himself from the family and that she had likely made him buy all those expensive items we saw in his apartment. When the day after Christmas arrived, everyone gathered at my in-laws' house to meet S. Everyone, including myself, was a bit surprised. S was nowhere near his usual type. As my sister-in-law said, she gave off black cat energy. Honestly, I thought she seemed pretty nice. She was friendly with everyone, helped in the kitchen, cracked a few jokes, and P seemed genuinely happy. He was telling everyone how he had been eating less processed junk and now craves cleaner meals, and how S takes him on her runs. Throughout all of this, however, my wife looked noticeably annoyed. When I tried to speak to her about it, she brushed me off and said that S was trying to change P into someone he was not. Despite that, she held her tongue for the time being. Later that night, my wife and I were having drinks with all her siblings. The conversation eventually turned into everyone joking about P's new lifestyle and how he must be whipped by his new girlfriend. They also joked about how surprised they were that his type had changed so much. It was all lighthearted until my wife offered P a second beer. He declined, saying that he tries to drink less now because S hates the smell of it. That led to my sister-in-law making a joke along the lines of him refusing the beer because otherwise he would not get lucky that night. At that point, I think P had had enough of the jokes and drank another beer just to quiet everyone down. By 1 a.m., P had gotten pretty tipsy. 2 beers had turned into 5. Then he took the bait from the others and revealed that S actually wants to wait a while before they do anything together. Immediately after he said that, my wife told him, with the amount of stuff you bought because of her, you should be getting some by now. Now, if she had just left it there, maybe he would not have gotten angry. However, she followed it up by saying she was surprised because S looked like the type who gives it up pretty easily. After that, everything fell apart. P has not spoken to my wife since December. No matter how many times I have tried to reason with her and tell her that all she needs to do is apologize, she refuses to hear it. She insists that she was the only one who cared enough to tell him the truth. Now she has been trying to turn her parents against P's relationship. She keeps telling them that S posts designer bags and shoes on Instagram and that she bets P is the one paying for all of it. Last night, I tried to tell her to stop saying things like that and that she should be happy for her brother. That escalated into an argument where she made a terrible remark. She said that I apparently do not know what it looks like when an older sibling looks out for a younger sibling, because my parents were too busy cheating on one another to give me a brother or sister. After hearing that, I could not help myself. I told her that her nasty attitude was the reason P cut her off. That made her cry. So, am I the a-hole for finally reaching the end of my rope and telling my wife the ugly truth? Small update. Hey everyone. I honestly did not expect to get this much feedback on my post, but I want to give a heartfelt thanks to everyone who offered advice. This is not an official update yet, but here is how things have progressed so far. After waking up this morning, reading your comments, and doing some quiet reflection on the entire situation, I decided to reach out to P. I did not contact him on behalf of my wife or to make excuses for her behavior. I simply wanted to check in and make sure that he was doing okay, and to let him know that despite everything, if he ever wanted to talk, I was here. It took a bit of convincing, but we will be meeting tomorrow during my lunch break. As for how things are between my wife and me right now, things are tense. Since that argument, she has been very cold toward me, despite the fact that I have tried to apologize all day. Before she left for work, I told her that I was sorry for the way I phrased my words and that I would like for us to sit down and look at the situation rationally. I said we should try to understand each other's perspectives. I also told her that I really did not want Valentine's Day to arrive with us still at odds. Unfortunately, that led to another argument. She thinks that I am playing devil's advocate for S. I tried to explain that I was simply being honest based on the one meeting I had with her. I told her that I do not think S is a gold digger or someone trying to change who P truly is. I explained that when many guys find someone they truly connect with, they often make changes to better themselves for that person. However, that only made things worse. My wife responded by saying that the only reason I am defending S is because I find her attractive. I reassured my wife that she is the only woman I find attractive, but she just scoffed and left for work. When she came home that evening, she said that she had a late lunch with her friends and was not in the mood for dinner. When I tried to bring up our earlier discussion again, she told me that she now knows I would never take her side or trust her instincts. She then said she could not believe that I do not understand why she is so concerned for P, and she went to bed. So, that is where things stand for now. I will most likely update again after I meet with P tomorrow. Once again, thank you to everyone for your insight. Final update. Hey everyone. It has been a while. Honestly, I wish I had a happier update, but it seems like every time I take one step forward, I end up taking 3 steps back. My lunch with P actually went really well. There was no tension or drama. At first, we talked about work and family, and then the conversation gradually shifted to the situation between him and my wife. P said that my wife was completely out of line for suggesting that his girlfriend was a gold digger. He explained that if she and the rest of the siblings had allowed him to finish speaking during the conversation at Christmas, he would have clarified that S has her own money and buys whatever she wants herself. Apparently, S owns a small business in her home country and earns a decent living for herself here as well. P admitted that he does buy her gifts sometimes, as most boyfriends do, but those gifts are not the reason she is with him. He said that he and S genuinely enjoy each other's company. He also explained that the new items in his apartment, like the air fryer, were things he genuinely wanted. S has been teaching him how to cook simple meals using the crockpot he bought so that he does not rely on DoorDash when she is not around. He also told me that S has her own appliances at her apartment. One surprising thing he told me was that he actually asked S to move in with him, but she declined. Her reasoning was that she does not believe in living together before marriage. She also felt it was too soon and did not want him to feel suffocated. They have been dating for about 9 months. Personally, that seems a bit soon to ask someone to move in, but they are both adults. Out of concern, and because some comments suggested that S might be manipulating him by withholding sex, I casually mentioned that if he ever wanted to talk about anything, whether it was ribs or relationship problems, I was there. I also told him that it was probably a good thing they were taking their time and getting to know each other seriously. P explained that they are waiting because S does not have much experience in that area. After hearing that, I dropped the subject entirely. As long as he is not being manipulated or harmed, I do not see any problem. They could wait 5 years if they wanted to. I also asked whether S had made changes for him as well. He said that she has changed her diet a bit because of him. Every couple of weeks, he takes her to one of his favorite takeout places so they can enjoy his old favorite meals. He also mentioned that she watches videos about fish tanks because she knows he is interested in them. During our conversation, I also learned that before P blocked my wife, she had been sending him extremely unhinged messages. She ranted about how S was wrong for him and how she was driving him away from the family so she could isolate him. P laughed when he reread that message because he said that S actually encourages him to maintain relationships outside of their relationship. For example, she cooked a large spread of food for him and his friends so they could watch the Super Bowl together. After cooking, she even left so he could spend time alone with his friends. Unfortunately, my wife's messages got worse. She accused S of using him for citizenship and said she was probably trying to escape her third world country home. That message was the one that made P decide to block her. He explained that those claims were completely unfounded. S has already been a citizen for several years and actually owns a house back in her home country. Ironically, P told me that S has been more open to forgiving my wife than he has. She is very family-oriented and hates the idea that people think she is trying to isolate him. As for my marriage, my wife still does not know that I met with P on Friday. When I got home that evening, she was already in a bad mood because one of her friends had apparently said something insensitive. Dinner that night was calmer, but the messages she sent to P kept bothering me. I know my wife can be negative and sometimes mean when she is angry, but the way she spoke about S's home country was disgusting. It sounded like something a rude political extremist would say. It hit a nerve for me because my own mother left her home country and married for citizenship. My wife knows this and knows that I respect the courage it took for my mother to come to the United States with almost nothing. Saturday was when everything exploded again. Things were somewhat calm until my wife started ranting about P again. I tried to shut it down by saying that I know the situation still bothers her and that we could discuss how she might rebuild her relationship with him, but not on Valentine's Day. For a moment, she was quiet. I thought she agreed. Instead, she had just been scrolling through S's Instagram. I tried to redirect the conversation. I asked if she was excited about the restaurant I had planned. I asked whether she wanted dessert at the restaurant or at home. She ignored me. Eventually, I snapped and told her to stop being weird, because most people do not spend hours obsessing over their brother's girlfriend. She responded by saying that I clearly do not care about her or her family and that I am allowing her brother to be taken advantage of just because a pretty woman is doing it. I calmly told her that I do care about P, but I trust him to make his own decisions. I also said there is a simple solution: she could apologize and ask for a chance to get to know S. She refused and said she did not need to get to know S because she already knows girls like her who survive on nuts and low-carb food. At that point, I gave up. I told her she was going to drive herself crazy. We still went out for Valentine's Day, but the mood was terrible. Tonight, when she gets home, I plan to ask her to attend couples counseling with me. If she prefers, she can go to individual therapy instead. But this situation is becoming too much. I really hope my next update is a better one. Thank you again for all of the advice.